Thank you for tuning in to Real Estate Advice. In today's episode, you'll learn how to buy a home in another state. My name is Andrew Finney. Please consider me your real estate geek. I am always here to help. If you need help finding a top agent where you live or perhaps in another state, please let me know. My contact information is below, even if you just want to say hello. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. So whenever you're getting ready to prepare for a long distance move, even whenever people move within a city, it can be stressful enough. Moving from one side of the city or even one block over, it can be stressful enough. Now imagine that you're moving from one side of the country to the next. It's even more stressful. You don't know the area, you don't know the agents, perhaps you don't have any family or friends in the area. It can be really frightening. So don't embark on that journey without having some kind of a guide and some type of an idea or plan of what you're getting ready to do. So let's go ahead and look at some different defensive techniques you could take as a home buyer. And when I say defensive techniques, I'm referring to being equipped with the knowledge of knowing how best to go about your home search in another state and how best to close on that home and find an agent. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind is not to ask the listing agent for representation of a property. One of the reasons that you wouldn't want to do that is because they represent the seller's best interest. And a listing agent's job is essentially to help the seller get the listing sold at the highest possible price, whereas a buyer agent wants to help you buy the house at the lowest possible price with the best terms with the property to ensure that you're getting the best deal possible. Now, it's important to recognize that buyer agents will represent your best interest and not disclose your personal information without permission. You have to give us written permission if you're working with a buyer agent. You have to give them written permission whether they can disclose something or not. Now, there's also a really interesting thing that happens whenever people work with real estate agents, whether it's a listing agent or a buyer agent. For the purpose of this video, we're talking about buyer agents. And what that interesting relationship becomes is an agency relationship that has fiduciary duties. Now, that fiduciary relationship, if you're unfamiliar with that word, don't be frightened by it. It's okay. The fiduciary responsibilities that an agent has to use to be obedient, loyal, to give you full disclosure, keep your confidence, and give you confidentiality. Also to give you full accounting and what's called reasonable skill and care. Now those are fiduciary duties. Of course, there's always an acronym for something. So if you think of it as like an old car where O is obedient, L is for loyalty, D is for full disclosure, C is for confidentiality, A is for accounting, and R is for reasonable skill and care, you'll know why and how we're going to represent your best interest and what to expect from a professional, trusted real estate agent that you work with. Now, if you're wondering who pays the real estate commissions, don't worry about it. Most of the time the sellers pay it. If there's going to be an issue with the real estate commission, your buyer agent will let you know and make sure that everything's agreed in writing prior to opening escrow and prior to moving along in your relationship. Most of the time the seller is paying the real estate commission for both the listing agent and the buying agent. Now, buyer agents are also pretty interesting because they normally know neighborhoods extremely well. Think about it. It makes sense. They're out in town, they're driving around, they're checking out neighborhoods, they're showing homes to other people. They get a really good idea of what this home looks like, this neighborhood looks like, and if they're actually not all that familiar with an area that you're looking at, they can become very familiar with it because it's just like, okay, if your thought process is focused on this side of town, okay, or if your thought process is focused on helping somebody find a certain kind of home, all right, then that's like a template almost whenever you get ready to start learning a new area. You're like, okay, I need to figure out where the shopping is, where the schools are, what they are. They're asking me for a 4-bed house with 3.5 bathrooms that's 3,500 square feet, for instance, and it all needs to be under $600,000. So then they can start looking for that home for you based upon what you're looking for and cross the whole city, because they're going to have access to most professional real estate agents, and especially a realtor is going to have access to a multiple listing service and of all the listings that are currently available in any marketplace. So it's important to know that. So how do you find a great agent, a great buyer agent in another state to work with? Well, a lot of people, if they do have family, friends, or coworkers in that area, they may get a referral. And a referral is a great source so long as they have great reviews as an agent to back it up. Now, a personal referral from a friend or family normally gets the conversation started at least, and they can be really wonderful relationships. But you still want to make sure that you're checking the agent's online ratings, reviews, and their past sales history. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. But if you don't have the luxury of building up contacts extremely rapidly to get a referral to a great agent, and then there's some alternatives that you can use. You can look at internet searches, open houses, or actually asking a top listing agent in the area for a referral to a competitor. Now, going over each one of those really briefly, internet searches is going to be the most impactful because look, you're probably looking on sites like Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, Redfin, or something like that right now, aren't you? And that's no surprise. I mean, those sites are absolutely wonderful. They have a lot of information there to help you make better sense of the real estate process, and get the process going. Now, whenever it comes time that you're ready to put rubber meet the road and you're ready to put an offer on a house, or you're getting into that phase, those sites are no longer the best sites. And here's why. It's because that data that gets sent, their data feed does not update as consistently as the multiple listing service, which updates in real time. Now, whenever a new listing comes on market, then you'll see it on Zillow and those sites pretty quick. Normally within 24, 48 hours, the new listing will be there. Now, what you won't see is whenever that home goes under contract, meaning that a seller accepted a buyer's offer and the buyer and the seller are now working together in the closing process. If you do see something that says contingent or pending, that's what that means. It means that you should probably just table that property. Even though some escrows and closing processes fall apart, you should be putting your active energy over here into finding your new place without worrying about that one. And just, if something happens, okay, something happens, and maybe you have already found something new, or maybe you come back to it. But don't get confused by what contingent and pending listings are, because it can cause a lot of problems. Now, that's the same reason that if you are looking on those sites and you contact a savvy buyer agent in another state, or perhaps in the city that somebody lives in, and you say, hey, I got this list of 5 homes I'd like you to look up, and they're like, hey, out of those 5, only one's available. Don't get freaked out. It's the truth. We're looking at the multiple listing service that updates in real time. Now, that being said, whenever you're looking for an agent, whether you get a referral or whether you're looking online, there's a couple of things you really need to know. First of all, you need to check their ratings. The second thing that you need to do is read their client testimonials and reviews to see what other real people like you are saying about their experiences working with that agent. The third thing you want to do is check past sales. Now, their past sales performance, if you scroll down like on Zillow or something, you'll see it underneath their introduction and all that good stuff. You'll get to this map where it shows their past sales. Let's say all-time sales, and then below that'll be the client testimonials, right? So whenever you're looking at those past sales, you want to make sure that agent has at least 12 or more closings over the course of 12 months. The reason being is that agent is going to be always in the process. They're going to be actively working people. They're going to be up on the contracts, up on the laws, and up on how to make this a smooth transition for you. Whenever you get ready to buy a house, I mean, let's face it, it's far too important to you to get anything wrong. So side with the best and make sure that your best interests are being upheld. You got somebody that's a master of the process and that can make that buying search easy as you plan out the move. And you can work together to make it even better. Now, a couple of quick tips right here, pro tips, is look for designations. Professional designations, specifically referring to a buyer agent. You have an ABR, which is an accredited buyer's representative, and you have a certified residential specialist, which is a CRS. If you need help finding one, let me know. I'm happy to help. The next way that you can find an agent is actually if you are in town and you can go to an open house, you can actually ask the agent at the open house if they're representing the seller. Really strong chances that agent is not representing the seller and they're simply hosting the house open for the listing agent. If you like that agent, ask them for their card, then go back to step number 1 and research them online and see if they're going to be a good agent for you to work with based upon their ratings, reviews, and past sales performance and any professional designations. All else fails, ask the listing agent for a referral to a competitor. Believe it or not, a lot of agents will be happy to do that. And here's why. Because if a listing agent is working both the seller and the buyer, it becomes what's called dual agency. In some states, that's not allowed. Excuse me. In other cases, it just makes agents a little bit uncomfortable representing two people's best interest, and there's a conflict of interest because the same property is being represented by the same agent. So a lot of agents, to avoid that kind of liability or avoid that kind of conflict of interest and making sure everybody's happy in the process, we're happy to help you find a good buyer agent that will work with you and help you out. Now, when you're looking at homes in another state, this goes back to knowing a few different things about how the big websites work that have real estate listings. When you're looking at homes that are buying in another state, again, great starting place. Whenever it comes time, the rubber meets the road, you find that buyer agent, ask them what their website is. Actually, they should provide it. It should always be in their signature block. And if you want to see what a good website looks like, just head on over to mine, check it out. Tell me what you think about it. It's andrewfinneyteam.com. Really hard to remember, right? andrewfinneyteam.com. So anyways, check it out. Let me know what you think. Love for you to hit me up and check it out. If you have an agent that has that kind of site, you're going to have one hell of a wonderful time searching, because you can, on that website, you can search by the new home construction, you search by builders, you can search by resale homes, you can search by community, you can search by a street name. You don't even got to have a street address. Search by the street name. Search by a school district. Excuse me. You can search by an MLS number. You can search by almost anything and everything. by just going on that website. So anyways, hopefully your buyer agent will have something like that. Whenever you're looking at those homes, make sure that you're contacting and in strong communication with your buyer agent. You should have that conversation up front with your buyer agent about how you're going to communicate. Is it going to be via text, email, call, FaceTime, video email? What is it going to be? And the reason I say that is it's most important that that buyer agent is communicating with you in a way that's most acceptable and convenient to you, but you still need to do your part. You need to answer that phone, respond to that text, get on that video chat, or whatever you guys have agreed to ensure that everything's going down smoothly and everything stays on track as you get ready to move and close on your new home. Which actually brings us into the last point here. Closing concurrently on another state, or closing concurrently while living in another state. What that means is if you have a home, and let's say that you live in Texas right now, you're selling that home, and let's say that you're moving to Washington State. If you're moving to Washington State, and ideally you would have had that home in Texas in escrow, and before you made that offer on that house in Washington, and that seller had agreed to sell you the home contingent upon the sale of the property in Texas, right? Which would have been really cool of the seller to do, by the way. Now, that being said, your listing agent and your title company, the escrow officer in Texas, needs to be in extremely, and I mean extremely strong communication with your buyer agent and the title company and the escrow officer in Washington State. And the reason that I say that is there's a lot of things that are going to happen in the closing process here and in the closing process here. The more they can communicate, the easier it's going to be, the smoother it's going to work, and the more enjoyable experience that you're going to have. So all you have to focus on is getting your stuff into the moving truck and moving over there and unpacking it and what color you're going to paint the wall. Now, ideally, that's what we want you to be focused on, is getting your keys and where you're going to put your furniture. I mean, if that's all you're thinking about throughout this entire process, then we as professional real estate agents, title officers, loan officers, and everybody have done our job exceptionally well, and we've made sure that the stress has largely reduced. If you have a question about this, I'm going to put my contact information up right now. If you need help finding a top agent where you live or in another state, please let me know. I'll put my nationwide network to use for you. I am both an accredited buyer's representative and a certified residential specialist. I'm happy to reach out to the same kind of agents and put them in touch with you as well. Now it's your turn. This is a fun part. I always love this part. So tell me what you're thinking about how to buy a home in another state and what you found most impactful from this video. Specifically, was it the tips on how to find a buyer agent in another state? Was it how to close in one state and in another state at the same time, so concurrent closing? Or was it the fiduciary relationships that you have with the real estate agent, specifically from the agent to you? Tell me about it in the comment section below, along with any other suggestions you may have, and let's help our community learn and grow. Now, if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to continue seeing more, I'm going to ask you to do 3 things. Number 1, please subscribe to this channel. Number 2, please like this video. Number 3, please share this video around with someone you know is going to be able to help. Thank you so much for watching today, and between now and next time, I'm wishing you and yours a lifetime full of love, wealth, abundance, and happiness. Thank you so much. See you soon.